Hello again. Okay, so went to Origins Game Fair recently, last month actually, 2 months ago actually. They got a painting contest. Now, generally, I don't consider myself that great a painter. I decided to enter it because I read the criteria, and I thought, hey, I got a chance at this. Or, again, I still didn't expect to do well. I will admit that part. But I wanted to see how well I would do based on the criteria. So here we go. Judging criteria. It's a display style competition focusing on celebrating artistic achievement across all styles and skill levels. There you go. Skill levels and styles. I got a chance at this. The competition values a wide range of styles and approaches. No single technique, genre, or aesthetic is favored over another. Again, sounds good. Judges evaluate how well the artist achieves their intended result. Now, they never asked for intended result on any of the entry forms. So that's just that's a BS one, because there is no way to actually tell what your intent was. But still, based on what I'm reading there, I still got a shot. There is no rigid scoring system. Entries are judged comparatively based on overall quality, impact, and intent. Again, intent. They never asked what the intent was. Still got a shot. Or so I thought. Now I'm not just whining because I did poorly. I didn't expect to do well. Like I said, I read what they're saying here and thought, I've got a chance. I'm curious how I will do. I've seen this contest in the past years. I know I'm not going to do well against most of the entries. I'm curious. How can I do? Core criteria. Judging evaluates entries across the following artistic elements. Okay, a little more specific here. Execution, brush control, cleanliness, and technical applications, includes clarity of form and how effectively the paintwork supports or enhances the sculpt. Okay, that can be interpreted several ways. Color and contrast, effective use of color, value, contrast, and visual readability. Again, that's sort of open to interpretation, although it's a little closer. Lighting and effects. Use of light and shadow includes effects such as OSL and environmental lightings. Now, I don't know what OSL was. Environmental lightings where you're in a convention hall, which, in other words, poor lighting. So I don't know what they mean by environmental lighting other than that. Like I said, OSL, not sure what that means. Composition, how the piece is arranged and presented visually, including basing and display. That makes sense for some of the categories. Some of the categories was do a little scene. Others was simple figure. So, again, there's a wide range this one could go through. Storytelling and atmosphere, narrative, mood, and emotional impact of the piece. Again, they had some categories which were try to do this, as a diorama type thing. Others were just single figure. So storytelling makes sense for some categories, doesn't make sense for others. Creative direction, the artist's vision and decision making, including color choices, mood, interpretation, and any use of conversions or kit bashing. So when we talked to the judges at the end of it, one of them said I had good color choices. So I did well there. That said, was he doing the old, when you give a critique, you should find at least one good thing to say instead of just going right into bad? Or was he being honest, saying, yes, you had good color choices? I don't know. Okay, so there's that. How entries are evaluated. Not all entries need to excel in every category. There we go, I'm doing well already. Strength in one or two areas may earn recognition. Again, doing well already. Higher awards require strength across multiple areas. I agree with that, yes. And the highest award demonstrates excellence across most or all criteria. Again, I can agree on that one. Now, like I said, I came into this not expecting to do well. So, I am not whining because I did poorly. I am going to go in on this judging thing, though. Because, again, they're talking about different styles, etc. So this was, as you can tell by the title of this video, they were looking for display. I'm a gamer. I do things for gaming purposes. And so there are two different sets of judging for these. And one of them, display is going to be more visual effect, more, use of color, use of depth, like stuff like that. Gaming, you just want something that looks nice on a game table. And that's my style. And so I did poorly because I am a gamer and not a display person. Now, interesting thing is talking to the other people. We're going, they had their little award ceremony, then get in line to pick up your entries, and then you could talk to the judges and they would tell you a little about it. So we're standing in line waiting to pick up our stuff, and people are talking about what they did and which piece was yours, etc. And I had entered 2 pieces, and a lot of people, maybe they were just being polite, maybe they were being honest, I don't know, but a lot of people liked my pieces. Now, they, again, not as good as the other entries. I openly admit that. And I am not whining because I did poorly overall. I am whining because their judging criteria and what the judges told me don't quite mesh. This was, convention time. You have a limited amount of time for, I try to spread out events so that I'm relaxed. I go to a convention to have fun, not to get tense. But at the same time, taking the time to make the entry, taking the time to sit through the award ceremony, etc., it's a waste of my time if they're not going to do the same criteria that they put in there. So if they had clarified that a little more, if I had a better idea of what I was going into, I wouldn't have entered in the first place. So I did 2 entries, both of them we've seen before. A Griffin. Yeah, nice paint. Yeah, people like the paint job. People I talk to like the paint job, like the color choices. It's just, it doesn't do all the, you have to have these highlights on it. You have to try to paint this way to draw attention here. All the other things that a display model would have as opposed to a gaming thing. Then I did my Huntress Giant here. Same thing, and then this is the one they said they like the color choices on, but, and things like, well, you should have put some highlight in here. The color just goes there, and there's nothing to draw my attention to this place and stuff like this. Everything they said, everything the judges told me, in their evaluation after the fact, was along the lines of, this is sitting on a shelf. And you're going to look at it from this angle only, and so you should have, because that's what highlighting and all that does, is I can do highlights so this looks good from this angle, but if you look at it from this angle, it looks bad, because the highlights were designed to look at it from one angle. As a gamer, person sitting across from me is going to see this, person sitting over there is going to see this, I'm going to see this. Yeah, I want it to look good from all angles, which means I can't put highlights on it to be looked at from one direction. So, tabletop gamer painting is a lot different from display painting, just because of the way you're going to do it. Now, we also have the idea that gamer, I'm going to pick this up and move it around and put it in a box at the end of the day. And display, it's going to go on a shelf and no one's going to touch it, except maybe dusting it once a week or whatever. So again, I'm not going to do a lot of detail because I don't want to have to go back and repaint it because people are handling it. I do know gamers who do that. They will play a game, then they'll afterwards, as they're packing up, they will look at all every piece they had, deciding which ones need to be repainted because maybe someone touched it and got dirt on a place or something. And if you have time to do that, if you enjoy doing that, if you met all your other financial and temporal obligations, sure, do that. But most gamers don't have that kind of time to go back and redo everything. And I might, maybe once a year I might look at something and touch it up a bit. But especially if I'm going to use it on a frequent basis, I don't have time to go back and repaint stuff. And so I'm not going to do a large detailed piece because it just doesn't work for what I'm using the piece for. Which goes back to some of their gaming criteria. Or some of the judging criteria, I should say. As a gamer, I shouldn't be expected to have a lot of highlight or whatever. Rather than being on a display case with a spotlight shining on it, this is going to be sitting on a table in a poorly lit room with, looking at it from different angles. Highlights are, I do it one color and the natural shadow does the rest. So yes, I did one slop color on this, but as the light falls it on different angles, it does give highlights. I'm not expecting forced perception or any of that other stuff, which, again, the judges are talking about. They didn't use the word forced perception, but they did, we want, you should draw your attention to this part better by painting this better, and it is now getting into stuff like forced perception, which gamers don't care about as much. Some do, some don't. Most don't. Now, I've taken a few years of art, and we get into different things, painting, or pottery, I should say. You got the vase that you're going to put on a table, and that's all it's good for, or that's all you intend to do. You got the vase that you're going to use for putting flowers in, or, whatever you're going to use it for. And teacher judges them both differently, and grades them both differently. If it's purely for design, he's going to be looking for certain aspects. If it's for utility, he's going to be looking for other aspects. That's what I'm looking at this class. I'm using these to actually play with. Different aspects go into it. They're judging as if it's supposed to go on a shelf only. Different aspects go into it. Now again, going through their criteria, yes, they're a right to call me out on a few things. Other criteria, though, other things they mentioned, it's a gaming piece. No one judged it from that perspective. So, will I do this again next year? Probably not, unless I read the rules and they've changed them. Perhaps someone will see this video and say, he's got a point. Maybe we should have a gamer piece category, in which case I'll enter. If instead, it doesn't look like anything's changed and they're all doing all display models, I won't enter because I'm not a display painter. I'm a gamer. And to people I know, every now and then I do a video on painting technique, and those are the ones which get comments more than anything else. If you're watching this hoping to get the, I want the highlight effect, or how do I do this better, you're never going to get it from my videos. I don't do that. My videos are looks good on a gaming table. That's all. Have a nice day.